Let's talk about that moment when a piece of art just stops you in your tracks and you're left, well, completely speechless. Today, we're going to explore that amazing bridge between what we see and what we can actually say about it. It's all about the ancient art of giving a voice to the visual. You know that feeling, right? It's totally universal. You're hit with this wave of emotion, this whole story all wrapped up in one silent image. You get it, you feel it, but man, how do you put that into words? Well, it turns out there's a name for that and an entire art form dedicated to doing it. And that art has a pretty cool name, ekphrasis. That's the official term for this beautiful, creative dance of translating what you see into what you can say, turning an image into language. So let's break that down. The word itself, ekphrasis, actually comes from the Greek for description. And yeah, at its heart, that's what it is. It's a literary tool where a writer doesn't just list what they see, they invite you, the reader, to step inside and experience the art right alongside them. But here's the key. It is so much more than just a simple description. It's not a laundry list of colors and shapes. Think of it as a dialogue, or even better, a dance. The words don't just describe the art, they respond to it, they interpret it, maybe they even argue with it a little bit. They breathe life into it. And you might think this is some new artsy idea, but nope. This conversation between words and images, it has been going on for thousands of years. We're talking all the way back to the great epics of the ancient world. I mean, the history here is just incredible. It goes all the way back to ancient Greece. You have Homer in the Iliad describing the shield of Achilles in such vivid detail. He wasn't just talking about a piece of armor. He was building an entire universe on its surface with his words. Then you can fast forward through the Renaissance, into the Romantic era with poets like John Keats, and all the way to the modern era with poets like W.H. Auden writing about a centuries-old painting. And this right here, this is the perfect example of its power. Keats wasn't just looking at a vase and saying, "Hey, that's a nice urn." No way. He was gazing at these silent, frozen figures on a piece of ancient pottery and pulling out this massive universal truth about beauty and life itself. He gave that urn a voice. And wow, that voice is still echoing today. Okay, so that's the what and the why. But what about the how? How do writers actually pull this off? How do you translate something purely visual into something verbal? Well, it turns out there are a couple of key approaches. You can basically break it down into two main flavors. First, you've got poetic ekphrasis. Think of this as that lyrical dance we talked about. It uses tools like metaphor and sensory language to just breathe emotion and life into a static image. Then, on the other hand, you have prose ekphrasis. This is more like telling a story. It uses essays or narratives to explore the characters or the context within the art, building a whole world around it. And the process itself, it's really this delicate act of translation. It all starts with just looking. I mean, really looking at the artwork, the colors, the composition, everything. Then you have to pinpoint the core emotion it's pulling out of you. And from there, the writer starts choosing their tools, metaphors, rhythm, whatever it takes, not just to describe the art, but to actually recreate the experience of seeing it for the reader. But here's where it gets really cool. This whole idea of responding to art with words, it isn't just for paintings on a canvas. The concept goes so much bigger. Just think about it for a second. You can have musical ekphrasis, someone trying to capture the feeling of a whole symphony in words. Or dance ekphrasis, telling the story behind the choreography. You can even have architectural ekphrasis, which is all about translating the awe of standing in a massive cathedral, or the peace of a perfectly designed room into language. It's about responding to art in all its forms. So, this brings us to a really fascinating, kind of philosophical part of all this. The fact that every single one of these responses is, by its very nature, going to be deeply, deeply personal. And this is the beautiful paradox of it all, really. On one side, there's the challenge. How do you stay true to the art while also bringing your own feelings and ideas to the table? But on the other side, that's where the magic is. Every single unique perspective, every different emotional response, it doesn't take away from the art. It adds to it. It makes the ongoing conversation that much richer. It creates what you could almost call a living tapestry of meaning. Every poem, every story, every description about a piece of art is like one more thread woven into this gigantic, constantly evolving work of art that stretches across all of human history. And what that really means is there's no single correct way to respond. For any one painting
or any one piece of music, there are literally infinite possible interpretations. Just infinite stories waiting to be told about it.
Which, of course, brings this whole thing right back to you. The next time you're in a museum or at a show and you feel that incredible, indescribable pull from a piece of art, just remember, you're not just a passive observer. You have a chance to add your own voice to this ancient, beautiful, and absolutely endless conversation.
So I guess the only question left to ask is this. In a world just overflowing with art, what masterpiece is out there waiting for your words?